On Inside Out, the real story of immigration to the region. We have the latest analysis on migration across the East. From Transylvania to Northampton, migrant worker Marius tells us his story.
They just judge about how I look and how I'm acting. I would like to save some money to build a house.
And I travel to the East's not spots on the quest of a better mobile phone service for everyone.
Gone again.
Revealing the stories that matter closer to home. That's tonight's Inside Out. Hello, I'm in Northampton, and later in the programme we'll have exclusive new analysis on how migration has changed here in the East. But first we're going to meet someone who's made his home here. Places like Northampton have been welcoming migrant workers for decades. So when the town found itself in the news in a row over immigration, it came as a bit of a surprise to those who actually live here, as Rob Whitehouse finds out.
Last year, Northampton became an immigration battleground, all over some sandwiches. British sandwiches, made in Britain, were under threat.
Our political editor, Nick Robinson, reports.
Guess what? The biggest sandwich maker in this country is going to Eastern Europe to find the new workers it needs.
I think it's disgusting that they're having to go abroad to fetch them, because there's plenty of people over here that are on the dole.
Green Corps, who supply the likes of Marks and Spencer with over 400 million sandwiches every year, created a storm of protest when they announced they were looking to recruit workers for their giant factory in Northampton from Hungary. The story behind Sandwichgate, as it became known, is fascinating. It reveals a great deal about the immigration debate, and it all began here at Radio Northampton.
Bolton College has 500 full-time.
Reporter Willie Gilder was called out on a routine diary story about Green Corps' plans for expansion.
In conversation with the company, I discovered that they were looking at recruiting in Eastern Europe, mainly because of the positive economic news in Northampton, because actually there aren't all that many unemployed people in Northampton. So yeah, it was interesting. I didn't think it was world-shattering.
It was the kind of story they'd covered many times and was written and tucked away on the news website.
But then the following Monday, we were astonished to see that this was front page news on the Daily Mail with is there anybody left in Britain who can make a sandwich? Which a brilliant headline, but the spin on the story was sort of subtly different, we thought, to the story itself.
In Northampton, it simply wasn't a new story. This is, after all, the town that celebrates its links with DNA pioneer Francis Crick, and a town very used to its own makeup constantly changing.
We've had immigration here for decades. We've had migrants come from the Caribbean, Asia, African Asians, Bangladeshis, Somalia, and actually Eastern European migrants are just the latest in a wave of migration that's been here, as I said, for decades.
Green Corps say about half their 1,100-strong workforce is drawn from outside of the UK, mainly Eastern Europe. By all accounts, the work here is tough, cold, noisy, and low paid. The companies say they tried to hire locally, but no one was interested. Meanwhile, life goes on.
What is the most logical order? And you can do it together.
And in Northampton town, these women from Poland, Latvia and Lithuania are attending a basic English course.
English is important to me because I like to integrate with the British people. Yes?
With media talk of foreigners stealing jobs, they found the sandwich story unsettling.
They tend to worry sometimes, but I try to maybe calm them down a little bit, and they're just trying to lead a normal life. I mean, they're not really a threat to anybody. They're normal people trying to make both ends meet.
People like Marius, who arrived in Northampton from Romania just over 6 months ago. He was just settling in when the sandwich story broke.
My first thoughts when I come here in Northampton, I was a bit afraid because I didn't know what to expect.
Marius works in a factory making oak kitchens. He's earning 5 times what he would in Transylvania. He's massively overqualified for this job. A graduate who learned his English watching movies while working as a cinema projectionist. He says people make assumptions about him.
They just judge about how I look and how I'm acting. If I have chances to prove myself, I could show them a lot more. I would like to save some money to build a house. I don't want to loan some money, to take money from banks and pay over 30 years of my life.
It's that kind of drive that leaves many in Northampton optimistic about the town's future.
Migration has been good for economic growth, good for employment, and good actually for a broad diversity of people.
Certainly good for entrepreneur Paul Kuznecovs.
I came in here with nothing, with only 50 pounds given to me by my grandmother in my pocket. You know, and I've got a family, I've got a house, I've got a business, you know, and I'm successful. Hello.
Hi, Paul.
How are you?
Paul from Latvia now runs a recruitment agency.
So I just wanted to speak to you about this job club that you've expanded.
Yes, we have. We run a job club on a Thursday.
Paul's big break came in 2004.
Celebrating a new beginning, a new Europe.
It was the single biggest expansion of the EU. 8 countries from Eastern Europe joined.
2004, 2005, 2006, there was a tsunami of immigrant workers coming to United Kingdom, you know, and I saw an opportunity in there. And I thought, oh my God, now I can do everything what I want. I can achieve all my dreams. Тоже с оператором, да. Я буду с тобой говорить, обсуждать, как мы зарплаты.
Paul has recruited and resettled hundreds of migrant workers, including Marius. But he takes a firm line on immigration.
If you come to this country to abuse the social system, no, you're not welcome. If you come to this country to commit crimes and mess around, no, you're not welcome. And at the end of the day, it's for the government to manage that. And yes, immigration has to be managed.
Marius has managed to find a little taste of home on the Wellingborough Road. Mama Liga, a dish of cold porridge with sheep's milk, may help sustain him and possibly help him to forget the great sandwich debate. But what about the man who discovered the story in the first place?
I'm not sure in retrospect whether I feel pride in having found it or a little bit of shame in having found it.
Well, if there's ever anything you think we should be looking into here on the programme, you can get in touch with me on Twitter at David_InsideOut, and my email address is david.whiteley@bbc.co.uk. You're watching Inside Out for the East of England here on BBC One.